Night of the Webcam. Author Robertson Tait. Narrated by Robertson Tait. Chapter 1. The Grand Canal. 4th August 2004. Kendric stood on his tiny stone terrace and watched the Grand Canal decorously filling with the bustling business of its array of vessels, ferrying to and fro in a lively montage of atmosphere and ancient character. It was a cascade of near misses, as the barge-like vaporetti plied their ponderous way between the charmingly iconic gliding gondolas and the sleek motoscafi, zipping nimbly in and out of the busy traffic, receiving a cautionary klaxon blast from those much larger vessels. Despite the large variety of crafts navigating the celebrated waterways of Venice, it seemed that some unofficial color code ensured a dignified palette, designed to blend in but never upstage the mellow tints of La Serenissima. The vaporetti, conservatively painted white or beige, conveyed masses of tourists and locals alike in their guise as city buses, whereas the speedboats, acting as glamorous water taxis, sported an attractive combination of white or midnight blue paintwork, contrasting with the tobacco shades of rich exotic woods, gleaming under untold coats of marine varnish. It was a display of cinematographic scope and splendor, but the faded colors of the ancient buildings combined to paint a scene 10 times more atmospheric than any movie set could hope to emulate. The park gondolas sat bobbing from the waves sent out by passing boats of all sizes, and yet they looked serene nestled into their moorings between ancient and heavily weathered tie-poles, which protruded up in uneven and decorative disarray from foundations deep in the water. As Kendric looked down on the scene, he was struck by the incongruousness of 2 kayaks paddled by their single occupants at a brisk pace down the canal, whilst the regular vessels and gondolas seemed to hover and meander perilously close sometimes to becoming stationary, even in the face of approaching vaporetti loaded with tourists. But Kendric smiled as he watched, because it seemed that some small accommodation would always be made, and these impending collisions would somehow be averted by only the smallest of concessions regarding direction. And so the seemingly inevitable never actually happened. He took another sip of his cappuccino and leant back against the terracotta walls of the building. What would he do first today? He frowned slightly at his own thoughts and argued with himself internally. A writer should set about writing, get to work, sit every day in a regular spot at a desk or such, and knuckle down to the work of writing and rewriting. But his inner voice argued back that material was much more important than labor, and for material he had to go out and about, gathering and taking in all the inspiration the daily bustle of the buoyant city could offer. Yes, indeed, that would be far more fastidious of him to dedicate himself to going about daily life and watching with capture for content his purpose and intent. And if he happened to enjoy the exercise, well, his writing would be all the stronger and better for it. He smiled imperceptibly to himself, realizing he had just convinced his more work-ethic-oriented side that this was a perfectly reasoned excuse for him not to be getting down to work, but knowing inwardly all the time that it was just that, an excuse, a procrastination. However, looking again at the gloriously romantic and inviting scene before him, he thought,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?